I stood on the private tarmac of Morgan International Airport, watching my family board their Gulfstream G650. The wind whipped my hair across my face, but I didn't move to brush it away. I wanted to burn this moment into my memory, the way my father turned at the top of the stairs, his expensive suit perfectly pressed, his face twisted with that familiar look of disappointment. "You'll never amount to anything, Sophie," he called down, his voice carrying over the sound of the idling engines. "Look at you, 30 years old and still can't figure out what to do with your life." My mother paused behind him, adjusting her Hermès scarf. "Darling, it's not too late to join the family business. Just drop this silly airport management course and come work with your sister Victoria. She's already made junior partner." I clenched my fists, feeling my nails dig into my palms. The silly course they mocked had taken me 2 years of night classes while working full-time as an air traffic controller. I'd graduated top of my class, but in the Morgan family, unless you were working at Morgan Industries, you might as well be unemployed. "I'm good where I am," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "Someone has to have a real job in this family." Victoria appeared in the jet's doorway, her perfect blonde hair somehow unruffled by the wind. "Oh please," she smirked. "Watching planes take off and land? That's not a real job, that's what people do when they can't handle actual responsibility." I watched them disappear into the luxury of their private jet, headed for another weekend at our family's villa in the Hamptons. As the door closed, I heard Victoria's laugh drift down the stairs. "Maybe next time we'll wave to Sophie from the window. She can watch us take off, it's what she's good at, right?" The jet taxied away, leaving me alone on the tarmac. But I wasn't just watching planes anymore. I was learning everything about how airports worked: operations, logistics, security, finance. What my family didn't know was that I had a plan, one that had been 3 years in the making. I pulled out my phone and checked my bank balance. The numbers still amazed me, the result of living on instant noodles and working every overtime shift I could grab. My savings, combined with the inheritance my grandfather had left me, the only family member who ever believed in me, was finally enough. "Miss Morgan." A voice called from behind me. I turned to see James Chin, the airport's current owner, walking towards me. "Are you ready to continue our discussion?" I nodded, straightening my shoulders. My family had just left for their weekend getaway, but I wasn't going home to an empty apartment this time. I was heading to a meeting that would change everything. "Yes, Mr. Chin," I said, following him toward the administrative building. I believe we were discussing the terms of my purchase offer for Morgan International Airport. The irony wasn't lost on me. My family had no idea that the airport named after our great-grandfather was about to change hands. They thought I was just another employee, too simple to understand their world of high finance and corporate dealings. But I understood more than they knew. I'd spent the last 3 years learning every aspect of airport operations, building relationships with the staff and studying the business model. When Mr. Chin mentioned he was looking to retire and sell, I was ready. As we walked into his office, I caught my reflection in the window. No designer clothes, no perfect hair, just a woman who knew exactly what she wanted. Mr. Chin spread the contracts across his desk, and I felt a surge of anticipation. "You're sure about this?" he asked, his eyes kind but serious. "Once you sign, there's no going back." I picked up the pen, thinking about my father's words, Victoria's laughter, my mother's dismissal of my choices. "I'm sure," I said firmly. "It's time for some changes around here." 3 months later, I sat in what was now my office, reviewing the quarterly reports. The transition had been smoother than expected. Mr. Chin had prepared his staff well, and most were relieved to learn the airport wasn't being sold to a large corporation that might lay them off. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, my head of operations. "They're requesting landing clearance. What do you want me to do?" I smiled, checking the flight tracker on my computer screen. Right on schedule, the Morgan family Gulfstream was approaching, returning from another one of their European shopping sprees. But this time things would be different. "Follow protocol," I texted back. "New ownership, new rules." I leaned back in my chair, remembering the changes I'd implemented over the past 3 months. Private jets now needed prior approval to land, with strict documentation requirements. The Morgan family, used to coming and going as they pleased, hadn't bothered to file any paperwork. My office phone lit up. "Ms. Morgan," my assistant's voice came through the speaker. "Your father is on line 1. He sounds upset." "I bet he does," I muttered. Put him through. What the hell is going on? My father's voice boomed through the phone. The control tower won't give us clearance to land. Do you know who we are? I kept my voice professional, calm. Yes, Mr. Morgan, I'm aware of who you are. However, under new ownership, all private aircraft require prior landing approval and proper documentation. I'm afraid your jet wasn't registered in our system. New ownership? He sputtered. Since when? And what does that have to do with us? The Morgan name is on that airport. The sale was finalized 3 months ago, I replied. And while the name is indeed Morgan International, that doesn't exempt any aircraft from following proper procedures. I heard muffled conversation in the background, then Victoria's voice came on the line. Sophie? Is that you? What are you playing at? I'm not playing at anything, Victoria. I'm enforcing standard aviation protocols. Your pilot should have filed the necessary paperwork before departure. This is ridiculous, she shrieked. We're running low on fuel. We need to land. I pulled up the airport map on my screen. There's a regional airport about 30 minutes from your current position. I'm sure they'd be happy to accommodate you. Regional airport? Victoria sounded horrified. Do you know how far that is from the city? From civilization? I'm aware of the distance, I said. Perhaps next time you'll ensure your flight plan is properly filed. My father came back on the line. Now listen here, young lady. Get us clearance to land right now, or I'll have a word with your supervisor. I stood up, walking to the window that overlooked the runway. That won't be necessary, Dad. You see, I don't have a supervisor anymore. What are you talking about? The new owner you're so eager to speak with? You're talking to her right now. Silence. Complete silence. I could almost picture their faces trying to process what I'd just said. That's impossible, my father finally managed. You couldn't possibly. Actually, I could. And I did. Grandfather's inheritance, plus my savings from all those overtime shifts you mocked. Turns out watching planes take off and land can be quite profitable when you're good at it. More silence. Then my mother's voice, distant but clear. Richard, we're really low on fuel. I checked the time. The regional airport has been notified of your arrival. I suggest you head there now. When, Dad? Remember what you said about me never amounting to anything? I guess we were both watching something take off that day. I hung up the phone and turned to the window, watching as the familiar Gulfstream changed course, banking away from my airport. My airport. The words still gave me a thrill. Marcus appeared in my doorway. Everything okay, boss? I smiled. Everything's perfect. By the way, make sure all the new landing requirement documents are on my father's desk first thing Monday morning. If they want to use this airport again, they'll need to follow the rules. Just like everyone else. The following Monday morning, I arrived early at my office, knowing what was coming. Sure enough, by 9 a.m. my assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Ms. Morgan, your family is here. All of them. I straightened my desk, smoothed my blazer and took a deep breath. Send them in. They burst into my office like a storm, Dad in his tailored suit, Mom clutching her designer handbag and Victoria in her signature heels. But something was different. The usual confidence was gone from their faces, replaced by a mix of anger, confusion and something I'd never seen before. Uncertainty. What is the meaning of this? Dad slammed a stack of papers on my desk, the landing requirement documents I'd sent over. I picked them up, calmly straightening the edges. These are standard aviation procedures, Dad. Every private jet owner has to complete them. Even the Morgans. But we've never had to deal with this bureaucratic nonsense before, Victoria interjected, perching on the edge of my visitor's chair. That was under the old management, I replied. Things have changed. Mom stepped forward, her voice taking on that soothing tone she used when trying to fix family disputes. Darling, why didn't you tell us? We could have helped you with the purchase. Made it a family investment. I couldn't help but laugh. Help me? Like you helped me when I wanted to study airport management? Or when I took this meaningless job? We were trying to protect you, Dad said, his voice rising. The airport business is complex, sophisticated. You can't just dash. Can't just what? I interrupted, standing up. Can't just graduate top of my class? Can't just work my way up from ground operations to air traffic control? Can't just learn every aspect of airport management while you were all busy mocking my career choice. I walked around my desk facing them directly. Or maybe I can't just turn a struggling airport into a profitable enterprise in 3 months. Because that's what I've done. I pressed a button on my desk and the wall-mounted screen came to life, displaying the airport's financial charts. Passenger satisfaction up 40%. Operating costs down 25%. Revenue from our new premium services division, which includes private jet arrangements, by the way, up 60%. They stared at the numbers speechless. Victoria was the first to recover. But how? Because I actually learned the business, Vic. Not from the top down but from the ground up. Every job, every process, every regulation. While you were all flying around in that jet, I was building something real. Dad sank into a chair, looking suddenly older. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened? I asked quietly. Or would you have just dismissed it as another one of my silly ideas? The silence that followed was answer enough. Finally, Mom spoke up. So what happens now? I returned to my desk, pulling out 3 folders. Now you have choices. Option 1. Complete these forms, follow our new procedures, and continue using the airport like any other client. Option 2. Find another airport for your jet. Option 3. I paused, watching their faces. Join me in building something bigger than all of us. Join you? Victoria asked, looking genuinely interested for the first time. This airport has potential to be more than just a landing strip for private jets. I have plans for expansion, modernization, creating a true transportation hub. But I'll need help. I looked at each of them. Real help, not just the Morgan name. Dad picked up one of the folders, opening it slowly. You've really thought this through, haven't you? I learned from the best, Dad. You always taught us to seize opportunities. You just never expected me to seize this one. A knock at the door interrupted us. Marcus entered with a tablet. Sorry, boss, but we need your decision on the new terminal design. Thanks, Marcus. I'll be right there. I turned back to my family. Take the folders. Read them. Think about it. But remember, whatever you decide, things will be different now. As they stood to leave, Dad lingered behind. Sophie, he said, his voice softer than I'd heard it in years. I was wrong. About you. About everything. I nodded, feeling something shift between us. I know, Dad. But being wrong isn't the worst thing. Not learning from it is. After they left, I walked to the window, watching aircraft take off and land, each one representing connections, opportunities, possibilities. Just like the ones I'd created for myself, despite everything they'd said, everything they'd believed about me. My phone buzzed, a text from Victoria. Starting on the paperwork now. And I'd like to hear more about option 3. I smiled, watching another plane soar into the sky. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about rising above, quite literally in my case, and showing them what you were capable of all along.